And now to another tug of war in the Pacific. China versus the West. The prize is the Solomon Islands, and at stake is the stability of the Indo-Pacific. China threw the first punch. It signed a sweeping agreement with the Solomons. The US and its allies tried to fight back. Their leaders rushed to Honiara, the capital of the Solomon Islands, to woo the government there. But now it seems like the West is losing this contest. Yesterday, the Solomon Islands issued a moratorium. No country can now send their naval ships to the islands. Their Prime Minister, Manasseh Sogavare, made the announcement himself. This is what he said, and I'm quoting. This is the Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands. "We have requested our partners to give us some time to review and put in place our new processes before sending further requests for military vessels to enter the country. Once the new mechanism is in place, we will inform you all. We anticipate the new process to be smoother and timelier." So it sounds like a temporary situation, a temporary halt, but many doubt Sogavare's intentions, and for good reason. Recently, a US Coast Guard ship was supposed to dock in the Solomons. It was a routine stop. The ship was supposed to dock and refuel, that's all. But it was not allowed to come. The US had to divert the ship to Papua New Guinea. Washington was quick to blame Beijing for this. Let me tell you what they said. "Clearly, we've seen the Chinese try to bully and coerce nations throughout the Indo-Pacific to do their bidding and to serve what they believe their selfish national security interests are, rather than the broader interests of a free and open Indo-Pacific." So the Americans were quite upset, and this treatment was not reserved just for them. The British Navy also ran into problems here. Their patrol boat, HMS Spey, was supposed to make a planned port call in the Solomons. It did not happen. Reports say the visit was cancelled over quote-unquote bureaucratic delays. And now there's a complete ban on all visits. Foreign navies can no longer dock in the Solomon Islands. These are not isolated incidents. They fit a pattern of behavior. Prime Minister Sogavare is distancing himself from the West. Earlier this month, he snubbed a top American diplomat, US Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman. Sherman was on a visit to the islands. What for? What was the occasion? A memorial service that the US had decided to host. It was a commemoration of the battle for Guadalcanal. This was a crucial battle during the Second World War. Imperial Japan used to control Guadalcanal in those days. This island, the Guadalcanal, is part of the Solomons. The US and allies had launched an offensive to defeat the Empire of Japan. This is from the Second World War, and they were successful, the Americans. This month marks the 80th anniversary of the beginning of that battle, which is why Wendy Sherman was in the Solomons. The US wanted to make a big deal out of this. It wanted to use this opportunity to remind Honiara about its historical links to the US. The Americans invited ministers and officials from Japan, Australia and New Zealand for the ceremony. Prime Minister Sogavare was supposed to deliver a speech. His name was printed on the program for the ceremony, but at the very last minute, he decided to not turn up. And this was an embarrassment for the US. Let me tell you what Wendy Sherman said at the time, and I'm quoting again. "The real sorrow here is that I think he missed a real opportunity to commemorate how strong these bonds were 80 years ago that allowed for freedom here in Solomon Islands." And within a few weeks, the US has been humiliated again. It wasn't allowed to dock its ship. What should we make of these developments? The US and its allies are losing ground to China. Under Prime Minister Sogavare, Honiara is getting closer to Beijing. No two ways about it. In April, China secured a security pact with the Solomons. It allows Beijing to deploy security forces on the islands, even potentially establish a naval base there. The West has attempted a significant outreach, but that has not yielded results yet. This round goes to China. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.